Phenomenology and Symbolic Interactionism. Phenomenology and symbolic interactionism are two powerful ideas in sociology that help us understand how people make sense of the world around them. Both theories emphasize human experience, meaning, and interpretation rather than just cold facts or statistics. They remind us that society is not simply a fixed structure or machine but something created and recreated every day through our thoughts, actions, and interactions. To truly understand social life, we must pay attention to how people perceive, interpret, and respond to the situations they live in. Phenomenology began with the philosopher Edmund Husserl, who believed that to understand reality, one must first understand how people experience it. He argued that every person's perception of the world is shaped by consciousness, meaning that what we consider real depends on how we interpret it. Later, the sociologist Alfred Schutz brought phenomenology into sociology. Schutz said that people do not just act automatically, they act based on meanings that come from shared experiences. Society is therefore built upon layers of meaning that individuals develop together. When people greet each other, work, or follow customs, they are not just behaving randomly, they are following patterns of understanding that give order to life. Symbolic interactionism, on the other hand, focuses on how people use symbols, like language, gestures, and expressions, to create shared meanings. This theory developed mainly from the works of George Herbert Mead and Herbert Blumer. Mead believed that the self is not something people are born with, rather, it develops through social interaction. For example, a child learns who they are by observing how others treat them, talk to them, and react to their actions. Through this process, individuals learn to see themselves from others' perspectives. Blumer, who coined the term symbolic interactionism, summarized it in three simple ideas. People act toward things based on the meanings those things have for them, those meanings come from social interaction, and people change those meanings through interpretation. Both phenomenology and symbolic interactionism share a deep concern for understanding human experience from the inside. They challenge the idea that social scientists can study people like objects or machines. Instead, they suggest that every social situation is full of interpretation, negotiation, and meaning-making. For instance, imagine a handshake. To an outsider, it may just look like two people touching hands. But within the context of social understanding, it could represent a greeting, a sign of respect, an agreement, or even a gesture of farewell. The meaning depends on the shared understanding between the people involved and the situation in which it happens. Phenomenology helps us grasp how individuals experience the world from their point of view. It encourages us to suspend our assumptions and instead look at how people themselves describe their experiences. Symbolic interactionism then adds another layer, showing us how those personal meanings are not isolated but created and shaped through communication with others. Together, these theories reveal how society and the individual are constantly shaping each other. Society gives us language and symbols that guide how we act and think, while our individual interpretations and actions keep society alive and changing. In everyday life, these ideas are visible in countless ways. Think about how people use social media. A like, a comment, or an emoji is not just a random click, it carries meaning. For some, a like may mean support, for others, it might just mean acknowledgement. Through these interactions, people build identities and relationships in the digital world, just as they do in face-to-face communication. Symbolic interactionism helps us understand how these meanings develop, while phenomenology helps us see how individuals experience them emotionally and personally. Another example is in education. A teacher's comment like "good job" can have different effects depending on how a student interprets it. For one student, it may motivate them; for another, it might feel like faint praise. These differences come from each student's lived experience, their phenomenological world. But the use of language and gesture also shows how social meanings are built through interaction. Every classroom is thus a small society where meanings, symbols, and relationships create an environment that shapes behavior and identity. In the field of sociology, both theories remind researchers to study people as meaning makers, not just data points. When studying a community, for example, a phenomenological approach would focus on how people within that community perceive their own lives, what they value, what they fear, and what they believe is important. A symbolic interactionist approach would then analyze how those beliefs are expressed through daily routines, conversations, and shared rituals. This combination allows a richer understanding of social reality because it takes both the individual's viewpoint and the collective meanings into account. The strength of these perspectives lies in their focus on empathy and understanding. They allow sociologists to step into people's shoes, to see the world from their angle, and to realize that reality is not just what we see, but what we interpret. This has significant importance for modern issues like identity, culture, and social inequality. For example, understanding gender identity through a symbolic interactionist lens helps us see how gender is performed and understood through everyday actions and language, rather than being simply biological. Phenomenology helps explain how these experiences feel from within, shaping a person's sense of self and belonging. In today's fast-changing world, where meanings are constantly being negotiated through technology, politics, and culture, phenomenology and symbolic interactionism remain deeply relevant. They remind us that society is not an external force acting upon us. It is something we continuously create through our actions and shared understandings. Every conversation, every gesture, and every symbol we use adds another thread to the complex web of social life. By paying attention to how people create meaning, we can understand not only how societies function but also how they can change. Change begins when people reinterpret old meanings or create new ones, whether that means redefining success, rethinking family roles, or challenging stereotypes. Both phenomenology and symbolic interactionism teach us that transformation starts in the human mind, in the realm of meanings that guide our daily lives. If you enjoyed learning about how these ideas explain human behavior and society, please like this video, share it with others who are curious about sociology, and subscribe to the channel for more deep yet easy-to-understand explanations of important sociological theories and thinkers.